definitely say that in French culture, there's this concept of not of revolution necessarily, but of striking, of being angry with the system and expressing that often in the forms of rallies or marches. And you know, you can see this was all predicted. You've seen kind of the struggles that France is facing now with the Gilets jaunes movement, and political analysts were saying just before the election of Emmanuel Macron that the next French president's biggest challenge would be this mass frustration amongst the French people, and this would actually kind of express itself in this year because there had been so much frustration expressed politically in the Senate, but also expressed apolitically by syndicalists and political pressure groups. And so to a certain extent, given the knowledge of a particular culture, given the knowledge of the particular way in which certain people act, on the short term, you can almost predict to a certain extent how they might respond to a particular problem or stimulus.
Do you think there's a change in the definition of culture and going short and long term? Culture by definition has to exist over a long period?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, if you go back to, yeah, I would say so. Because if you look at the culture of, for example, European culture, if you look at the importance that, for example, what Rian mentioned, the digital age has had on it in recent years, I wouldn't consider it fair to judge European culture based on the mass influence that the digital age has had on it in the last few years. So I think that when you're looking at long-term culture, it's necessary, as I previously mentioned, to look at the constant values that reappear as they have done in India or in other places. So,
yeah, following Adriana and Vijay ideas and what you say about impose something to our culture. I think that when the politicals impose something for us that we don't like it, we say something. We do something about it. Like in our when Spanish came to our country and West came to our country, and they imposed this religion of thoughts and all this stuff. So let's make a revolution, you know. And when following Vijay ideas, this culture of protest and marches is really strong, I think, in our country, and I think all other countries. So I think that in the protests, in the revolutions, in the marches, is where you can find certain values and certain cultures that can be more important than the imposed cultures and values.
Thank you. I mean, there's this certain, in Europe, I believe that there's this certain feel of or need to protect our cultures, as we believe that there's so many of us. We feel a bit, maybe some cultures or some nations feels a bit threatened by like another change, or that they will lose their nation or the national heritage, but still I believe that in every single country this need to protect is very different. As in, for me, I would like to compare it, as I am Hungarian, I see the big difference that in Hungary they want to fight. They are fighters, and they want to fight for their culture. And that's why there is this, rise of populists. That's by the Viktor Orban, and the way he used his rhetoric. He always speaks the same way as the revolutionists spoke in the 1800s, as, for example, Peter Fischer spoke when he wanted to well, there was the Austro-Hungarian empire, and when Hungary wanted to divide, so they still take the inspiration from back from the 1800s. But here, like in our country, the Czech Republic, is very different. We tend to rather to sit back and wait for someone to take the power and to make the change. So even that we want to protect in every single country, the way we want to protect is very different. So as you said, that some people speak out and protest. I think that in the Czech Republic we cannot really say that, because we always are waiting for someone brave enough to do that, and then we join him.
Just one sentence. It is because we believe we can't change it due to our historical experience. Yeah.
Okay, great. Excellent. Well, we're running out of time. Okay, Kevin, you haven't spoken. Was this to speak? Excellent. This is the last comment. We have to stop writing. Okay, Kevin.
Okay, I want to mention that the culture and the relationship between people have some interaction. The more people follow the culture, the more hardly to change between people's relationship. I mean, before the World War II, the Asian China, many men have few wives, several wives, but after the foundation of People's Republic of China, the law forced the people to only have one wife or husband. At the first of this law has been published, people didn't understand it because so many people have several wives, and even they just have one wife-in-law, they still have many wives in the house. They didn't tell us that. But right now, everybody follows this law, and this become a new culture. But on the spaceship, the group of people is very small, and the culture is very easy to break. I mean, when the people's relationship become changing, the culture will force the relationship to keep on the right side. But when there are just a few people follow the culture, it's very easy to convince people to change to another different culture.
Excellent, thank you. Great way to stop. Video, you've got something to...
Before the students break away for their writing sessions, on behalf of the Symposium and on behalf of Garodia International, I would like to warmly thank Mr. Andy Fletcher for coming. I think on Mr. Ian's request, he just readily agreed to come, and he's interacted so positively with our entire community, the parent community, the teachers, our grade 11 students. He's had the TOK conference, and we're very grateful for him. And I think even today's his talk has been really inspiring. There's so much new information that I think we all got out of it, and many thought-provoking elements in the whole talk. On behalf of Garodia International, we would just like to offer him a small token of our appreciation.
One large token of your appreciation.
No, thank you once again, Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you. You've been great. It was wonderful being with you. You're coming from all these different countries, all these different historical, cultural backgrounds, and the conversations that you're having are just fascinating. And I've got to go away, and I'm going to miss the long one. So sorry. What a great idea to have you all here from all of the backgrounds that you have to let you interact together. We'll create a culture right here among you during the week. And you'll all love each other, and you'll never forget each other. So thanks very much for the time that you've been able to give me. It's been a great time.
I think we'll let you get on with it. I have some pen drives here, so maybe they could put their works onto these pen drives.
Okay, so off you go. You've got to start writing now. A response to the question that I gave you earlier, using what you've heard today, the discussion, and your first essay.
Thank you so much. Very nice.
Oh, yes. We finished at 4:45. As long as it takes to give a response. What you're going to, I'm going to pick 2 or 3 people at the end to just present those answers. It could be just a few bullet points. It could be 2 or 3 slides. It's not, not in the form of an essay, but just in the form of 2 or 3 bullet points to fully express your response. No, for each school. Okay, so you use what you've done before and what you've just said. And I'm going to take on a pen drive that you've got to communicate.